Okay, so you sent over this really interesting piece from Blue Barn Funding. It's dated May 7th, 2025, and it's all about the Rite Aid bankruptcy.
Yeah, I thought it was worth a closer look. And the goal here isn't just to, rehash the news.
Right.
It's more about using this specific event, this Rite Aid situation, to kind of understand the bigger picture in retail.
Mm.
And maybe pull out some useful insights for navigating what's happening in the economy and with consumers today.
Yeah.
Like taking the poll, using this as a case study.
Taking the pulse of retail. I like that. Okay, let's dive in. The article starts off saying that the bankruptcy filing itself, back in October 23, it wasn't just about Rite Aid dropping the ball, right?
Exactly. It frames it more as a symptom,
Mm-hmm.
a sign of maybe deeper issues happening across traditional brick-and-mortar retail.
Because Rite Aid wasn't exactly a newcomer. They've been around, 60 years?
Yeah, a real legacy brand. Familiar name on the high street, So when a company like that files for bankruptcy protection, it definitely signals some significant pressures. The article uses the term perfect storm, I think.
Yeah, it did. And a big part of that storm, it seems, was the legal trouble, the opioid crisis lawsuits from the Department of Justice.
Absolutely. That was a huge factor. The core accusation, basically, was that Rite Aid wasn't doing its job as a gatekeeper.
How so?
Well, the DOJ alleged they knowingly filled hundreds of thousands of prescriptions for controlled substances that really shouldn't have been filled, prescriptions with obvious red flags.
Wow. Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. And the impact there is twofold, right? There are the massive potential fines, the financial hit.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe even worse, as the article points out, is the damage to trust, the reputational hit. That's incredibly hard to come back from.
It's like being hit from both sides then. Money problems and your reputation taking a dive, which then, scares customers away and hurts the bottom line even more.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Rite Aid was apparently already struggling a bit financially, even before all the opioid litigation really hit hard.
Okay.
The article mentions they had quite a bit of debt already, and, maybe more importantly, they were losing ground to competitors.
Yeah.
CVS, Walgreens, they were eating into Rite Aid's market share.
Right. So the pie was shrinking for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a tough place to be.
And the article also mentions something about their online presence, or lack thereof. Said they didn't really get into the digital pharmacy game much.
Yeah, and that's a really critical point, I think. We're seeing this everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consumers want convenience, they want things easy, and digital is just key to that now.
Mm-hmm.
So while others were pushing hard online, building apps, delivery services, Rite Aid seemed to be a step behind.
Playing catch up.
Pretty much. Now, they did try things. The article mentions closing stores, selling off some business units.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like those were, maybe too little too late, like trying to patch a leaky boat that needed more fundamental repairs.
So it sounds like it wasn't just Rite Aid's own mistakes, but maybe reflective of bigger shifts. The article suggests their problems mirror challenges across the whole retail pharmacy sector.
That's a key argument, yeah. It really highlights how much consumer expectations have changed.
How so?
Well, think about it. We expect things instantly now, right? Convenience, speed, easy online ordering. That's become the baseline.
Yeah, true.
And the article specifically calls out things like Amazon buying PillPack and just the general growth of online prescription services. These are major disruptions. They force the old school pharmacies to rethink everything.
It really is a different world. It used to just be your corner pharmacy, and that was that.
Totally. Now there are so many options.
Yeah.
And look at how some competitors responded. The article mentions CVS trying to become more of a healthcare destination.
Oh, yeah, with the clinics in store and stuff.
Exactly. In-store clinics offering insurance. That's them trying to evolve to offer more than just pills.
So a proactive move.
Right. Whereas Rite Aid, maybe, seemed slower to make those big strategic changes. There's this tension, the article implies, between having all these physical stores, this legacy infrastructure, and needing to rapidly innovate, especially digitally. That gap became a real problem for them.
It really sounds like that ability to change, to adapt, is just crucial now in retail. And the article kind of zooms out even further, right? Puts Rite Aid alongside other big names that have struggled, uses that phrase, Darwinian pressure.
Yeah, Darwinian pressure. I thought that was a good way to put it. It makes you think of other giants like Bed Bath & Beyond or Sears.
Yeah.
Companies that were dominant but just couldn't change fast enough when consumer habits in the market shifted. Maybe retail apocalypse is too strong a term.
Maybe.
But that core idea, adapt or face decline, that seems very real for a lot of established retailers.
So this Darwinian pressure, what does it actually mean for us as consumers? How does it play out?
Well, fundamentally, it means our expectations are driving the change. The modern shoppers, we want that seamless thing.
Omnichannel.
Yeah, omnichannel. We want to shop online, use an app, maybe go into a store, and have it all feel connected. We want stuff curated for us, maybe personalized service.
Right.
And even for something essential like a pharmacy, where you might think habit rules, convenience is becoming a really big deal. People will switch for an easier experience.
Okay, so let's circle back to the article's main points then. What are the big lessons it pulls out for other retailers watching this Rite Aid situation unfold?
It highlights 4 key takeaways. First, pretty obviously, is the digital imperative. Having a solid, integrated online presence isn't optional anymore. It's basic stuff for competing.
Right. Table stakes, like you said.
Exactly. Second is proactive risk management, especially if you're in a sensitive area like healthcare. You need really tight legal and regulatory compliance. The opioid lawsuits are a stark example of what happens otherwise.
Yeah, that really underscores that point. What else?
Third is operational agility. Being able to, spot parts of the business that aren't working and shift resources quickly, not letting problems fester.
So being nimble.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And the fourth lesson is about relevance through reinvention. You have to keep looking ahead, trying to anticipate where consumers are going next, and be willing to change your whole model if needed.
They sound like basic business sense in a way,
Yeah.
but actually doing them, especially if you're a big, older company, that's the real challenge, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Easy to say, hard to execute.
Yeah.
And Rite Aid's bankruptcy is just a really clear, frankly painful example of how high the stakes are now.
A warning sign.
A big one. It shows that just having a well-known name and being around for decades, that's just not enough anymore, not in this fast-moving environment.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, what's the main message we should take away from looking at Rite Aid through the lens of this article?
I think the core takeaway is that this isn't just one company's sad story. It's really a wake-up call for the whole retail sector, honestly. It hammers home that you have to adapt quickly to what customers want, you have to embrace digital, manage your risks properly, and constantly be ready to reinvent yourself to stay relevant. These aren't just suggestions now. They're pretty much the rules for survival.
That's definitely a sobering thought. And it really makes you wonder, applying these lessons, what do you think are the biggest hurdles for businesses in, say, your area of interest? Not just to survive, but to actually thrive going forward. What kind of specific changes or innovations might be needed? Something to really chew on. Thanks. This was really insightful.